أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody to today's Lajna Quran class. This is our second online session, so I think the majority of you will have attended the first session, which was last Wednesday. So just for the benefit of those that could not attend last week, we are holding 7 of these sessions. So this is session number 2, and these classes will take place every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. inshallah, and they'll continue weekly up until Wednesday the 28th of March, which will be our final session. So in terms of what we covered last week, just in case you weren't able to make it, a number of you have sent in your recitations from Surah Ibrahim, chapter 14 of the Holy Quran. So we looked at that and I provided some feedback on some of those recitations. And we also covered a rule regarding the recitation of thick letters, which we will inshallah cover again in this session. So we will begin our class with an opening prayer. So we will just read one of the prayers which is on the sheet over here. So I will select a student, and if you can please recite the prayer highlighted. So if I can have L219. Assalamu alaikum, L219.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please recite the prayer highlighted?
Yeah, okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Jazakallah. And if you can read the translation as well.
Oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge.
Jazakumullah. Thank you very much, L219. So that prayer is from Surah Taha, which is verse 115 of the Holy Quran. So each week we will cover a different prayer with the ultimate aim of memorizing all of the prayers that are listed over here. So what we will do is we will listen to a few of the recordings that have been sent in, depending on the timing that we have. We will try to do around 2 or 3 a week. Before we do that, just for the benefit of anyone who hasn't been able to watch or listen to the class last week, as you may but not be aware, this is the National Quran Class website. So this is nqc.org.uk. And on this website, if you go to class recordings over here, and if you scroll down to the relevant course, which is Tarteel Classes, LQC, which stands for Lajna Quran Class 2018, this is where you can access the recordings for these sessions which we're holding online. So again, nqc.org.uk, class recordings, Tarteel Classes, LQC 2018. So if you click over here, this is the page which is relevant to you. So this is where last week's session has been uploaded. So if you weren't able to attend last week, if you can please go back and listen to this recording in your own time, just so you can catch up with whatever we covered then. Also over here you can see the link for the YouTube page. So if you click on the red button there, you'll be able to subscribe to the NQC UK YouTube page. So every time one of the classes is uploaded, you'll get a notification. So these are really for your benefit to revisit and revise, or if you've missed a session, to go back and listen to it in your own time. So please do try to make use of these. As I mentioned, if you didn't come to last week's session, if you can please go back and listen to the recording of this session. Each week, inshallah, the class will be uploaded over here. So today we are going to start off with listening to a few of the recordings, and then we've got an exercise which will be quite interesting, I think, where we'll be analysing some of the rules which occur in a specific verse that's been selected for study today. One announcement I'd just like to make is a few people have used their personal names in their screen names. So if you can please rename yourselves using your unique personal ID. So this will be L 2, and then you'll have 2 other digits. So if you're unsure of what it is, if you can go back to your original email or whatever your ID number was, please enter that as your screen name. The way to do that is if you go to the participant box and you click over your name and you click more, there'll be an option to rename yourself. So if you can please do that, because we don't use personal names over here. So we've got Naya Chaudhry, we've got user, Myra Mahmood, Maria's iPhone, Atiya, please can you, the people that I've mentioned, can you rename yourselves as your correct ID? So let me open up our recording. So today we're going to be listening to the recording of, we have L227. So I'll play that one first. And as we did in last week's session, I'll be highlighting any points that need correcting. What I'll do is I'll pause the recording every now and again so that we can give feedback as we go along. So let me just make sure L217 is here. L227, sorry. Assalamu alaikum, L227.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good too. I just wanted to check, is L226 with you?
No, she can't do Wednesday classes.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to check that. That's not a problem. So we can go through your recording, and any points that I think will need raising, I'll let you know as we go along, okay?
Okay.
So if I play that.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم.
So before I go on, one thing that you missed out in the start of your recording is the beginning of the verse over here.
I think maybe we started recording after reading.
I see, okay, yeah. So could you just read the beginning over here?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام را.
Okay, excellent, that's perfect. That's fine. The point that I highlighted over here, I don't know if you had, but there was this, it felt like there was a bit of a noon sound coming through. I'm just going to play that again, and you know if you pick it up as well.
Okay.
لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور.
Did you hear that come through?
Yeah.
Just being mindful, we're joining the noon with the fatha directly with the za. So, could you read just that again?
من الظلمات.
Yeah, perfect. من الظلمات. Let me just see if I can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, that's fine.
بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد.
So over here, I think it sounded like a meme.
I think it's the way you see whenever I approach Shadda, I make it, maybe I need to change that.
I see, okay. So could you just read this word over here?
Rabbihim.
I see, yeah, no, that's fine. Rabbihim.
Rabbihim.
I think out of tune it's a lot easier to do, but with tune sometimes it can change. So بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. Okay.
الحميد الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض.
So over here, just when you're pausing on this word, the lam over here, which is carrying the sukun, try not to give that much time to the lam because it's just going to be 1 second. So it will be wama fil ard.
Yeah, okay.
If you read just that part of the verse.
وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ.
Good, yeah. And again, with the ra as well, this is just going to be 1 second. So, wama fil ard. So, just being mindful of the timing. We don't want to put too much time where it's not needed. Okay?
Okay.
Let's carry on.
ويل للكافرين من عذاب شديد.
Okay. If you just read this part of the verse from عذاب.
عذاب شديد.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
الذين يستحبون الحياة الدنيا.
Okay. I think the same thing has happened. So just try to work on it. So it will be al-hayat ad-dunya. So we don't want to do anything.
Okay, okay.
Ad-dunya.
Okay.
ويصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا أولئك في ضلال بعيد. أولئك في ضلال بعيد. وما أرسلنا من رسول إلا بلسان قومه ليبين لهم فيضل الله من يشاء.
You can see Noon Sakin and this is a Ya Shadwa.
Yeah.
So when we have this, what we call is partial assimilation. So that means that we can partially hear the Noon sound when we join it, but we can't completely hear it. So this Noon is merged into the sound of the Ya Mushaddad. So the way you Man yasha'u. Can you try that? Man yasha'u. So you can hear a slight nasal sound, but the Noon isn't fully recited. So Man yasha'u.
من يشاء.
Yeah, perfect. That's good.
ويهدي من يشاء.
So exactly the same over here. So وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ again, okay? I'm just going to refer back to this one because it's something that you have covered in the in your course, just to highlight the sort of differences. So we have, first of all, rule number 11, the example of complete assimilation. So this is where the Noon Sakin or the Tanween is completely merged into the Lam or the Ra Musaddad. So you can see here we have Min Ladunka, Min Rabbi, Shidadullah, Allah. So in all of these examples, you can't hear the Noon Sakin or the Tanween. So this is partial assimilation is here with the Ya and the Waw Mushaddad, where it's Man yu'minu min walin naran wa hadiyan wa. So just these are the two rules. But as I said, so it's Man yasha'u.
Okay.
وهو العزيز الحميد.
So this is
Hakim.
yeah. So especially be mindful of the changing of letters, because that becomes a more major mistake
Okay.
it can have an impact on the meaning. Okay, so okay, what I'll do is I'll just put you on mute, and then if you have any questions after explaining, then I'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay, no worries.
I think because the background sound is a little bit unclear for some people, so if I just keep you on mute for now, then we will. I'll speak to you once we finished it. So if we carry on then from here.
وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا.
So just over here, this is another rule in your 20 common errors of tilawat. We don't want to break our breath in the middle of a word. Okay, so this will be ayatina. I know it's a bit more difficult when it's in the middle of long verses, but especially in the middle of a word, we don't want to be breaking the breath. So this will be ayatina, all in one breath.
أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ.
So again, the same thing with the shadda over here. So just keep practicing that. Minaz zulumati. So we don't want any other sound coming through which isn't there. So minaz zulumati. Carrying on to the next verse.
وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ.
Okay, so over here, what you did was you prolonged the alif here, but the only thing that is going to be prolonged for more than 1 second is going to be your ya mushaddad. So you want to put stress on the ya definitely because there is the shadda there, and you want to prolong it for 2 seconds. But in doing that, you don't want to do anything different to the letter before. So this will be ayyamillah, ayyami. So not ayami, but ayyami, because this is just a fatha stroke. This is just going to be 1 second. So ayyami.
إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٍ لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ.
So let me just come back here. So over here, I think the alif was not prolonged enough. So just being mindful, we have here on the alif, vertical fatha, which is 2 seconds, and ya over here also is 2 seconds. So we want to give equal time of prolongation to both of these letters. ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ. لَآيَاتٍ. So just again, being mindful of the timings, because again, that can have an impact on the meaning.
لِكُلِّ صَبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ.
So again, the point about the shadda, صَبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ.
وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ اذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ أَنْجَاكُمْ مِنَ
Okay, so the point that I wanted to make just over here, this is in relation to the lesson that we did last week. Obviously, I'm not marking it in relation to the advanced rules, but just to be mindful of the fact that when we have the word Allah, the lam mushaddad which appears in the middle, if it is preceded by a letter which carries the stroke of fatha or dhamma, then we're going to be pronouncing that lam in a thick manner. So it will be ni'matallahi. Tallahi. So this lam is going to be a thick lam. If it's a kasra, then it will be tillahi, but because it's a fatha or a dhamma here, then it's going to be tallahi. So this is just in reference to the lesson that we covered last week.
أَنْجَاكُمْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ.
So over here, it sounded a little bit like there was a bit more stress on this meme than it should have been. So just very simply, yasumuna, yasumunakum. It just felt there was a bit more stress on the meme as if there was a shadda. So just reading it in a soft manner. So again over here, if I try to rewind it a little bit.
آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب.
So again over here, taking the breath after adha. So remember, this is just one word, al-adhabi. So try to read it all in one breath.
العذاب ويذنبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم.
Okay, let me unmute you again. L227. So do you understand the points that I raised when you feedback during the recitation?
Yes, I do. Even if you don't tell me, I can just know my mistakes.
Yeah, that's fine. Timing generally was good. There were a few points that I picked up. I think the main one is, first of all, regarding the breath. So timing breath in the middle of the words. Obviously, there is the point about the partial assimilation. So slight nasal sound when you merge these two letters here. And obviously, you know the one about the shadda as well. So I think that would be probably your main point. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Jazakumullah. There's really good effort though. So I was quite happy with that. Just a few points that I mentioned to work on. Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah. Thank you. 7. What we will do is we will move on to the actual lesson. And if we have time, we will come back and listen to another recording. I'm just conscious of the time because we are almost halfway through already. So we will come back to that. And yes, you will be able to listen to the recording on the website, L244, because it will be uploaded. Let me just...
Okay, I'm not sure. Hopefully that's made the sound a little bit clearer. But if not, the recording should be able to capture the audio a bit better than is here. So we will move on to the exercise for today, which we're looking at. So we are basically going to be analysing one particular verse of the Holy Quran. And the reason that this certain verse has been selected is because it's quite an important verse, especially in regards to the field of tabligh. So if I just very quickly show you the translation, this is actually, sorry, the reference is wrong here. This should be chapter 5, verse 76. So this is from Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 76. And very quickly, we will just have a look at the translation, which reads the following. So this is, the Messiah, son of Mary, was only a messenger. Surely messengers like unto him had indeed passed away before him. And his mother was a truthful woman. They both used to eat food. See how we explain the signs for their good, and see how they are turned away. So this is Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 76. And its importance is relevant to the arguments about the death of Jesus alayhi salam. So this is why this has been selected. And we would definitely encourage all participants of the class to try and memorize the references and the verses as much as possible. So what we will do is we have taken this verse. So you can see at the end here we have the full verse written out. And for the purpose of this exercise, it's been split up into 5 parts so that we can look at each part of that verse in a bit more detail. And the reason we've done this is so that you can have an in-depth understanding of all of the rules of the Tarteel, which you may have covered or which we are covering in these online classes. It's basically in light of the Tarteel rules which we're learning on this course, and it's for you to really be able to break down the verse and understand everything that's going on in relation to these rules. So I will go through the first verse, and then I will select a person to recite that, hopefully which will be a good and accurate recitation, because we'll have gone through all of the rules by then. So if we look at the start of the verse, very simply, in the beginning we are joining a meme which carries fatha with a lam sakin, so it will be mal. Sometimes the mistake is made to prolong this, but that would be incorrect. So we are simply joining the meme to the lam sakin, mal. Then we have fatha stroke on this meme over here, so we know that this is just 1 second. Following this, we have the letter sin, which carries the kasra stroke, we can see underneath here. And joined to this, we have the ya madda. So you can see there are two different colors which have been represented in this part of the verse. So the first one is red. Those letters which are highlighted in red, they are basically the basic rules of Tarteel. So these are the rules that you've been learning in your course, and these are essentially those rules which basically cannot be compromised, because they are the foundational rules of your learning. If they aren't mastered, then you can't progress onto the more advanced rules. So this is why they've been highlighted in red, because they are extremely important, and in order to progress with your learning, these have to be completely perfect before moving forward. So you can see over here, this rule over here is in relation to elongation. So simple elongation meaning it will be 2 seconds that you're going to be elongating this sound. So this will be C, 2 seconds over here. You can see also the other color represented is the letter the letter ha, and this is in green. And the green rules represent those which are more advanced rules, which some of you may be familiar with, but not everybody. So these are the rules that we are covering in these online sessions. So the green and the red are the two to look out for. We see over here the letter ha has been highlighted in green. The reason for this is because we want you to pay attention to the difference in the articulation of the sound. So you see this ha over here is coming from the middle of the throat, and this ha from the bottom of the throat. So ha and ha. This is more of a simple sound. This ha over here takes a bit more effort to produce from your throat. So when we recite this fully together, we read it as mal masihu, mal masihu. So we see here 2 seconds simple elongation, and ha coming from the middle of your throat, mal masihu. When we continue, we have another advanced rule coming up. So you can see here the bar is in green, and the arrow shows that this is a jerking sound. So what this means is that this bar is going to be slightly jerked or slightly vibrated when you join the ha with the bar. So this means that we read it as mal masi hub, hub. So this bar, if I just show you in relation to the PDF that we did, there are 5 letters which come under this rule. We have qa, ta, ba, jim, and dal, all of which are carrying a sukoon. So these letters, they are basically going to be vibrated. So if I just read a few examples, iq, sat, ib, aj, jid. So you can hear that slight vibration when landing on those letters, and this is what we call the qalqala letters. So you can see over here, we have the example of one of those 5 letters, which is ba, sakin, carrying the sukoon. So this will be vibrated. Mal masih hub. The next thing that we have, we've just put the noon, which is just in black, but this is 1 second prolongation because we have the simple stroke of dhamma. So only 1 beat or 1 second, no longer than that. If we continue, so we have another letter over here, which is in green, and this is the letter Ra, which carries a sukoon. And in last week's lesson, we looked at when to pronounce Ra in a thick manner. So we saw that when it carries the fatha or the dhamma, and also when it carries a sukoon and it's preceded by a fatha or dhamma. So the thickness will be read like Maryama, Maryama. So you can hear the thickness coming through here. So up until here, the way that we will read it is Mal Masih ibn Maryama, Mal Masih ibn Maryama. Moving to the next word we have over here. Again, this is highlighted in red, which indicates to us that this is one of our basic rules from our 20 errors. And this is, again, simple elongation. So exactly the same over here. Here we had the ya madda. Over here we have alif madda, which tells us 2-second prolongation. Illa. Following this, we have again another example of a thick letter. So we have ra again. This time it's bearing a fatha stroke, which we discussed last week. When it carries fatha or dhamma, it will be thick. So illa ra, ra. So this is going to be thick ra. The next one, we have waw sakin, which is highlighted in red, which is again one of our basic rules. Simple 2 counts, or this can also be a long elongation, which comes when you're pausing there, so it can be prolonged for up to 4 seconds. So simple 2 seconds or long elongation for 4 seconds. So again, this is our waw madda, which is our basic rule. And the final point, which is presented over here, is the small jim, which we see here, which is our permissible stop, which means that it's acceptable for us to stop here. And if we look at our rules of waqf, which have also been covered in our course, this will take a sukoon. So lam, which currently carries a dhammatain, will take a sukoon. So we read this final word as rasul. So if we put this whole verse together, bearing in mind all of the points that have been mentioned here, Mal Masih ibn Maryama illa rasul, illa rasul. So what I will do is I will ask one person to recite this. So if I can have L217. Assalamu alaikum, L217.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please have a go at reciting this part of the verse?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ما المسيح ابن مريم إلا رسول.
Excellent, that's brilliant. Do you understand all of the points that have been raised here? Is that all making sense?
Yes, I know, but maybe by pronunciation, maybe I can't pronounce ra, thick, ra. When ra is with sukoon, still we need to read it thick.
Yes.
Maryama.
Maryama, yes. If I just go to just the explanation that we covered last week. So this is the point that's written. The learner should be taught to pronounce the ra with a thick and broad sound if it bears the vowel mark of fatha or dhamma. So if it carries fatha or dhamma, then yes, it will be thick. Similarly, the same rule will be applied to a quiescent ra, so that's a ra which carries sukoon, if it proceeds with a fatha, dhamma, or an alif. So if we go back to the word here, so you can see here that the same case applies. So it's still thick if the ra carrying the sukoon is preceded by a letter which carries fatha, dhamma, or alif. So you can see here, because it's got fatha, this is going to be read as Maryama. So it's going to be a thick ra. Yeah? Okay, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Jazakallah.
thank you very much. There is a question regarding Alkali. If I just again read that explanation very quickly. So the learner should be taught to pronounce the above 5 letters with a jerking sound when they are in a mute position, either with original sukoon or temporary sukoon due to a pause. So what that basically means is if the letter is already carrying sukoon, or if on pausing it acquires a sukoon, or it takes a sukoon when you pause there. So in both cases, there will be a jerking sound, and this is called qalqala. So you can see it can appear in different parts of the word. So here, this is in the middle of the word, at the end of the word, and also at the end of the word when it carries the shadda as well. So these are all examples of where the qalqala will apply, or the vibration sound will apply. So if we move to the second one, if we move to the second part of the verse, so this time we have the majority of these that have been highlighted in green, which suggests to us that these are the more advanced rules. So we can see here we've got qaf at the beginning. So this is again one of our 7 thick letters which we looked at last week. So this will be qa, pronounced in a thick and broad manner. The next letter, we have another example of the qalqala letter. So this is, remember we have qaf, ta, ba, jim and dal. Those are our 5 letters when they bear sukoon. We have here dal sakin, so we are going to produce here a jerking sound. So when joining these together, qad, qad. I'm going to ask one person if they can have a go at reciting this. Assalamu alaikum, L220.
Walaikum assalam.
Could you please recite just this first part over here?
Qad.
Okay, excellent. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. And I'll come back to you to recite the rest of the verse as well. We have carrying on another green letter. So this is a thick letter. So this will be kha, khalat, qad khalat. So this is pronounced in a thick manner. The next one which we have over here is the nun sakin, which is highlighted in green. And the reason that this has been highlighted is because we're going to produce a light ghunna sound, so a light nasal sound, and we're going to hold that sound for at least 2 seconds. So this will be mil, mil, slight nasal sound. It's not completely min. It's not completely like the sound which comes through when you have a nun mushaddad, but this is a slight nasal sound. And I will refer you back to this lesson over here. So you can see over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our letters here, including Hamza 7. When you have a nun sakin or a tanveen, and that is followed by any of these letters here, the sound of the nun sakin or the tanveen will be clear, so there will be no prolonged nasal sound. So for example here, yan'auna, yanha, an'amta, wanhar, etc. So the sound of the nun or the tanveen is very clear. When you have any other letter aside from these that are here, we're going to produce a light nasal sound. So you can see over here we have the letter qaf, so it's not one of the 6 that are mentioned here. It's not alif, hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. Because it's none of those, we're going to produce a light nasal sound. So it will be min qablihi, min qablihi. Again, if I go back to L220, Assalamu alaikum, could you please recite that part of the verse up to here?
Right. Qad.
Sorry,
It's gone.
yeah, I know, it's just disappeared. 1 second. Okay, let me just open that again for you. Recitation analysis. Okay. Yeah, so if you can read up to ha over here.
قد خلت من قبله.
Okay, good. So that will be a slight nasal sound which is produced there. That's fine. Jazakumullah, L220. If we continue, so we have another example of a qalqala letter. We have ba sakin this time. So this green highlight indicates to us that it's a jerking sound, a vibration, qablihi, as L220 read. The other point here is qaf, again, we know is going to be read in a thick manner because it's a thick letter, like over here. If we continue on, we've got 2 points highlighted for ra over here. So the first point is because it's carrying the dhamma stroke, it's going to be read in a thick manner. And the second point, which is back to our basic rules, because it's carrying the shadda, it's going to have extra emphasis on there. So min qablihi ar-rusulu. So we are putting emphasis on the ra because of the shadda, and we're also remembering to make it thick when reciting. So that's the next point. And the final point is that this is going to be a meaningful pause. So I will get L220 again if she can recite the full part of the verse.
قد خلت من قبله الرسل.
Excellent, that's great. Jazakumullah, thank you very much. Let's have L223 if you'd like to have a go at reciting. Assalamu alaikum, L223.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Would you like to have a go at reading this part of the verse?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قد خلت من قبله الرسل.
Okay, just over here on the scene, it was a little bit longer than 1 second, so just make it shorter. So قبله الرسل.
قبله الرسل.
Excellent, that's fine. And also on this noon, you made the nasal sound great, but just prolong it a little bit longer. So قد خلت من قبله الرسل. من قبله.
قد خلت من قبله الرسل.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Jazakumullah. And let's have one other person recite this. So let's have L228. Assalamu alaikum, L228.
Wa alaikum salam.
Would you like to have a go reading this?
Okay. قد خلت من قبله الرسل.
Good. Just a bit more emphasis on the ra. من قبله الرسل.
من قبله الرسل.
Good, that's fine. Jazakumullah, thank you. So we will move on to the next point. So we have over here 2 of our basic rules highlighted again. So the first one being meme, and we know from our 20 most common errors in tilawat that this meme, you produce a ghunna sound, and you hold that sound for 2 seconds. And the second point over here is that this is going to be simple elongation because we have an inverted dhamma above the ha, so it will be wa ummuhu. So that meme mushaddad, trying to produce a ghunna sound and holding it for 2 seconds. Those are the first 2 points. The second point, I think the arrow needs to be on the sad. So sad is another one of our thick letters which we covered last week. So it will be read in a thick manner. Siddiqatun, siddiqatun. So it's important to differentiate this sad with a sin. So sin is very similar to the S, but this sad is a lot thicker. Siddiqatun. The next point that's highlighted over here is, again, we have an example of a ya madda, so that's from our 20 errors, just making sure that we give 2 seconds of prolongation on this ya. So siddiqatun, siddiqatun. Over here again we have another example of a meaningful pause, and when we pause here the sound will be siddiqah, so it will be ha sakin at the end, siddiqah. The next few points that have been highlighted, I'll do them all together. So we have alif madda, we have alif madda, and then we have vertical fatha over here. So ka, na, and la over here. These 3 are 2 second prolongation. So we have here simple elongation of 2 seconds. Ka, na. and making sure as well that when we prolong, we make sure that the time is equal according to the rule. So because these are both examples of alif madda, these are 2 seconds. Kana. The next point here is that on the alif, which has taken a sukoon over here, it's going to be a simple jerk. So rather than prolonging, as you would with an alif madda, this is going to be a simpler or soft jerk. So it will be kana ya, kana ya. So that is a slight jerk on the alif, ya. As we mentioned, this is vertical fatha, so we have 2 seconds. And over here we have, again, a highlighting green, indicating this is more of an advanced rule. So remembering that this is the letter ta, and when it's got that fatha, it's going to be pronounced in a thick manner. So ya'kulani ta'amu, sorry, ta'ama, ya'kulani ta'ama. So this ta, thick letter over here. And then we have, again, alif madda, simple 2 seconds, or it can also be elongated for 4 seconds. And again, the final point is the meaningful pause over here. So if I ask another person to have a go at reciting this in light of the rules, so let's have L235. Assalamu alaikum, L235.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please read this part of the verse?
That one. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأمه صديقة كانا يأكلان الطعام.
Yeah, that's great. Just with the ayn, try to produce it a little bit more from the throat. So يأكلان الطعام, عام.
يأكلان الطعام.
Opposite. Okay, Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. Let's have another person. Let's have L245. L245.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you read?
Wa ummuhu siddiqa kana ya'kulani ta'ama.
Okay. I'm just gonna mute the microphone because it's a little bit echoey. But just over here, نِطْطَعَامَ. If I go back to you are L245. L245, if you can just recite again from يَأْكُلَانِ.
Ya'kulani ta'ama.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Let's have one more person. Okay, L246. Assalamu alaikum, L246.
Wa alaikum salam.
Would you like to recite this again?
Yeah, 1 minute. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأمه صديقة 1 minute. وأمه صديقة كانا يأكلان الطعام.
Just try to make the ta a little bit thicker. يأكلان الطعام.
يأكلان الطعام.
Okay, that's fine. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. We'll move to the 4th part. So we have, again, some examples of more advanced rules. So if we look at the first point, the noon has been put in green. And again, if we refer back to our rule regarding the nasal sound, if it's not those 6 letters which follow the noon sakin or the tanveen, then it's going to be a light nasal sound. Otherwise, if I go back, so if we have any of these 6, it will be a clear noon or clear tanveen. But if it's any of the other letters, then it will be a sustained nasal sound. Let me just bring this here. So this will be om. So this noon is going to be prolonged a little bit and it's going to be a nasal sound produced. The next 2 points which are mentioned over here, the dha and the ra, these are both examples of our thick letters. So again, you can see here this, even though this is ra sakin, because the letter before bears the dhamma stroke, this is also going to be read in a thick manner. So both of these letters are going to be thick. If we look at our fa, this is just 1 second prolongation. You can see before the fa we have an example of a ya lean. So it's quite a soft and blended sound. So we prolong that for 2 seconds. So in total it will be gaifa, gaifa. So 2 seconds here, 1 second prolongation here. Again, we have an example of our basic rule. This is just a simple noun with a dhamma stroke, so this will be 1 second. So this word will be nubayjinu, nubayjinu. Again, because we carry the shadda on the ya, this will be extra emphasis on that ya. So that will be nubayjinu. This is quite straightforward over here, lahum. And then we are joining this dhamma on the meme with the lam sakin, lahumul. And then we have again our basic rules, vertical fatha and vertical fatha on the alif and the ya. So both are going to be simple elongation, 2 seconds, 2 beats, 2 counts. So lahumul ayati. So in total it will be unzur kayfa nubayyinu lahumul ayati. So again, if I ask someone to have a go at reciting that. So if we have L234, Assalamu alaikum, L234.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please recite the next part of the verse?
Yep. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم انظر كيف نبين لهم الآيات.
Excellent, that's great. Jazakumullah. Fine, thank you very much. Let's have L231. Assalamu alaikum, L231.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please recite the same part of the verse?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم انظر كيف نبين لهم الآيات.
Excellent. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. And let's have one more person. So if we take this time L221. Assalamu alaikum, L221.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm just going to put you on mute for a second. So if you can recite the same verse again, please.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم انظر كيف نبين لهم الآيات.
Okay, so that was fine. The only point that I would emphasize is this one over here. So this will be unzur. So it's a sustained nasal sound which you're prolonging, but also the nasal sound needs to come through. Unzur kayfa. So it won't be just simply unzur, but unzur. So if you want to try again with the start of the verse, please.
Okay. انظر كيف.
Yeah, that's fine. Jazakumullah. That's a lot better. Thank you. So let's move to the final part of the verse. We have highlighted in red over here, we have our mim mushaddad, so that is a strong ghunna sound, which is for 2 seconds. Thumma, thumma, so a strong ghunna coming through for 2 seconds. Then we have our noon sakin, which is followed by the letter dha. So remember, because it's not one of our 6 letters over here, it means that we're going to be reading it with a light nasal sound. So the light nasal sound will be produced on the noon. Then we have following that two of our thick letters again. We have dha and we have ra sakin, which is preceded by a letter which carries dhamma. So again, this will be thick. So in total, this will be thumma anzur. So this, remembering the ghunna on the meme, followed by the light nasal sound produced on the noon sakin over here. So we have a mixture of our basic and advanced rules that we have to remember. Over here we have a strong nasal sound, strong ghunna sound, which is produced for 2 seconds over here. And also remember that we are prolonging for 2 seconds because of the vertical fatha. So anna, 2 seconds over there. And then we have, following this, again we have the hamza, which has a sukoon. So this will be a soft jerk, yu, yu. And finally, we have an example of our waw madda, which is going to be simple 2 counts, or it can be long elongation for 4 counts or 4 seconds. So if I ask another person to try to read this verse, this part of the verse, if we have L227, Assalamualaikum, L227.
Welcome, Sam.
Could you have a go at reading this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم انظر أنا يؤفكون.
That was almost there. Just on this noon sakin, there needs to be the light ghunna, the light nasal sound. So ثم انظر.
ثم انظر.
Good, excellent. If you read it one more time, the whole part.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم انظر أنا يؤفكون.
Just a little bit more stress on the noon. أَنَّا يُؤْفَكُونَ.
أنا يؤفكون.
Excellent, that's great. Jazakumullah, thank you very much. Let's have one more person. So this time we have the full verse written over here. So I'm going to select someone to try to read the full thing if they can. So if I choose L231 to recite. Assalamualaikum, L231.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Please could you attempt to recite the full verse?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ما المسيح ابن مريم إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله الرسل وأمه صديقة كان يأكلان الطعام انظر كيف نبين لهم الآيات ثم انظر أنا يؤفكون.
Jazakallah. Could you just recite from here? I just wanted to hear the nasal sound come through a bit more on this noon sakin at the end.
Okay. ثم انظر أنا يؤفكون.
Okay, that's fine. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much for that L231. That was really well recited. So Jazakumullah, everyone. I hope this exercise has helped to really break down the rules that are coming up. And you can notice even in one very small part of the verse, there are so many things that you need to consider. So inshallah, each lesson we will select a different verse to look at in more detail so that we can really get to grips with not only the basic rules but also the advanced rules. So we will continue with that inshallah, and this lesson will be uploaded as I mentioned on the website. So I'm just going to select L225 if she can recite the closing prayer for us.
Could you please recite the prayer?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم. O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran. وَاجْعَلْهُ لِي إِمَامًا وَنُورًا وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً.
Okay, Jazakallah very much. Just one point that I would raise is over here, just making sure the lam is thick. So this will be Allah at the start, but otherwise that was well recited. Jazakumullah. And inshallah, I will see you all in next week's class on Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.